and Joel Rubin, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State in the Obama administration. Joel, always good to see you. And
you
hopefully,
too,
yeah, thank you. And hopefully we're talking about narrowing this down and getting to this peace plan, right? Hamas agreeing to parts of Trump's plan, but says more negotiations are needed. So as you see it, what are some of these next steps ahead?
Yeah, Laura, look, first and foremost, this is a good day. It is a day where there is some optimism and that there is a potential end to this war and a chance for the hostages to get out. And that is, to your question, the key first milestone, which is the agreement says the hostages, all of them, must be released. That's the first key milestone. If that is met by Hamas, I think then we should have more optimism about the next steps. But that really is number one. And then, of course, this is what's always tricky about the Middle East. Agreements beget discussions, beget agreements, beget discussions. So this is going to be an ongoing process with a lot more complexity. But the hostages out, that's number one.
You know, one of the sticking points here, looking at what's happening with Hamas, is the demilitarization of that. Do you think we will end up seeing Hamas agree to those conditions? Because, you know, there's always a but, and that's a big but.
So the challenge is that the president's 21-point plan includes an amnesty program for Hamas fighters to leave the territory. It does not specify how to disarm. The Israeli government clearly will have questions about that. And so it's a bit of an open question. And that's where this diplomacy moment matters so extensively. We need to see continual engagement to ensure that Hamas does follow through on those principles and does disarm. And that means working with Qatar, working with Turkey and Egypt and others to keep the pressure on them. If that doesn't happen, then they're not going to get to the key phase, which is Palestinian governance and nation building, and it's sort of a renewal of Gaza. That Israeli security requirement of disarming of Gaza is central to a real long-term solution.
You know, it is so hard to believe that Tuesday is marking 2 years since the deadly October 7th attacks. It came up fast, but it's been such a painful, a long journey. More than 1,000 people were killed that day, with 250 taken hostage. We've all seen these videos. There's nearly 50 hostages who remain captive, about 20 believed to be alive. The brother-in-law of a hostage taken on October 7th spoke exclusively with NewsNation's Connell McShane. I'd like to listen to that together.
I want to be very cautious with Hamas' response. I think it's too early to be enthusiastic about it because we've heard before there are yes, but responses, and this feels more of that.
I mean, you've got to imagine what these families are going through, holding their breath. Do you see Hamas backing out?
You know, look, Laura, Hamas and Israel in many ways have been fighting for almost 4 decades.
Yeah.
And so the idea that we are finally going to complete it in one day, I think is a bit too optimistic. But there is reason for hope for the hostages to come out and for a process with all the key players in the region stepping in to get to a better end state. But there is always a bit of concern about will Hamas truly do what it says it is agreed to. And I think that's where the United States and where President Trump will give him his accolades on this. This is where his leaning in matters, but he needs to keep on leaning in. It's not just a one-day press event. This is going to require ongoing, active American involvement to make sure that all the parties do what they have said up till now they want to do.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.